Now, leading up to this game against the Toronto Maple Leafs, I didn't have very high hopes for it. Coming off of that last performance, the Winnipeg Jets game, and that 7-1 loss to the Montreal Canadiens, I just didn't really have a lot of confidence for this game. I had this gut feeling that I said the day after that game that the Jets lineup wouldn't change and Paul Maurice would most likely roll out the most consistent lineup that we've seen throughout this season, which has been the one that was blown out 7-1 to the Montreal Canadiens. I just didn't think that because of that, with all the way the play was and how I thought that, in my opinion, it was an accumulation of everything wrong with the way the Jets have been playing in one game, I thought that that might carry over. I thought that this might be the domino that starts the Jets' kind of downward momentum against really good top-tier teams in this Northern Division. But nonetheless, I was proven wrong because although in my opinion the Jets did not play a perfect game, not even close to it, this was a much improved game that was pretty confident and pretty, I would say well matched for a very good Leafs team in my opinion. And although I don't like the Leafs, I gotta say they played pretty good at times, and they really just showed that the Jets still have a lot of problems with their way their plays, and that the elements that I said in the last video about the consistently poor play from certain players and from the Jets defensive core as a whole, and certain elements into their game when relying Connor Hellebuyck on too much, that really showed in this game. And we're going to get into all of that, but first I want to talk about really the standout plays in my opinion in this game. And coming into the standout plays is definitely without a doubt in my opinion the big one that starts it off is the way that the second power play has been playing. I really like the second power play. They've had some slumps over the last week, I would say, but in general, in my opinion, they've been the best power play unit for this club almost in the entire season. I've just really enjoyed their play. I think that they have create the best shot opportunities. They have the best high quality shots as well. They have really good scoring opportunities, and they have a lot of good, players playing well and clicking together that I didn't really think would work. I wasn't a big fan of Matthew Perreault at the start of the season and his play, and I did not think he deserved to be on that second power play, but recently, and for most of the season, let me add, he is really starting to show just how wrong I was about Matthew Perreault going into this season, having a very good campaign for himself, and he's just really shown that he deserves to be on that second power play. So I want to give credit to where credit is due. I really like the second power play this game, and I want to talk about them because I think that they really are the best power play unit on this club at times. I just don't like the way the first power play generates opportunities and through the neutral zone, the way they move the puck. It's just very sluggish at times, and I don't like how much they rely on Kyle Connor in neutral zone to carry the puck. Same with Scheifele. It's just not something that I'm very, very fond of. But nonetheless, I want to talk about something else that I thought was a massive standout in my opinion, and that is that Nathan Beaulieu goal that was allowed in the first period, and let me just say that was just not pretty whatsoever in any way necessary. It was just bad. I was not a fan of that goal whatsoever. I'm going to break it down for you guys actually right now. I have these photos that I took from the game, and I want to talk about it in my opinion about why I think that this just shows exactly how the Jets really did play this game as well. So let me just show you these photos. Shout out to Justin on Twitter for putting these together in his tweet. I'll link his Twitter down in the comments. He's the one that made this tweet and his post. So I want to talk about it and break it down the way he has it. When you see that Nathan Beaulieu is on that side, he's pinching towards the Toronto player who I can't remember exactly who he is at the time. But nonetheless, he's pinching towards him, and at that moment, he looks over and he sees that Kyle Connor is there. So in Nathan Beaulieu's mind, Kyle Connor is going to be able to catch up to him. The problem is, if you look at the way Kyle Connor already is, he's gliding, not putting a lot of ice pressure onto it, and because when you have a play like that, it's just not a good start for it. And then when you after you continue to go on, you see that Kyle Connor is not able to keep up with Zach Hyman because Zach Hyman just breaks in past him because he's already in full stride carrying the puck from his own end on an end-to-end play. So when Nathan Beaulieu is thinking in his head that oh, this is a good idea, I've got coverage, it actually isn't, because it's a really bad hockey play in my opinion. And I know Kyle Connor probably could have done more to stop this play with a little bit more pressure, but Hyman's coming in at full speed, and I just don't think that it is a very good play by Beaulieu to expect a guy on the back check coming in that is a forward who is known to not play the best defense to catch a guy coming in on full stride on a good offensive play. And it's just not good because look how far Beaulieu is at that point from the play. Every other defender, minus the other ones coming back, other forwards coming back, is in the play getting ready to defend the rush coming in by the Leafs. Beaulieu is so far in the corners holding the other Toronto player that it just creates this really weird triangle situation that everyone is kind of two of the other Jet players are chasing, and it's basically a 3-on-1 to the sense that it's the way that it's all set up, and it's just not a very good play whatsoever. It's something that you don't want to happen at all, and it's just another poor example of Nathan Beaulieu making a defensive decision that he thinks is okay, and he thinks is a good hockey choice, but in reality, when you look at the whole situation and how it plays out, it just is not a good decision that you want to see the guy making in the long term. Now, minus Nathan Beaulieu, or should I say talking about Nathan Beaulieu, he did get hurt, obviously blocking that shot, and he went to the room. In my opinion, it kind of looked like he could have broken his hand, so Nathan Beaulieu could be out for an extended period of time. What exactly that means for the defense, I have no idea. I'll be bringing a video about that, talking about what could happen once we know how long Nathan Beaulieu is out. If Nathan Beaulieu is out for even a game, all that's most likely is going to happen is a NICU jump in for a game, and then after that, it's going to be a, Beaulieu's back in type thing. Very kind of this short injury type of stint replacement that NICU would provide. If it is actually anything more than that, I think the Jets could look at bringing up a defender like Ville Heinola from the Moose possibly, or in my opinion, just putting in Logan Stanley again. But it all depends on how Cheveldayoff is trying to manage games plays also for the expansion draft with Seattle coming up. He's got to make sure that he has all the players that he needs to have a play available and whatnot. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with this situation with Nathan Beaulieu and what exactly it turns out to happen and which type of Jets prospect is going to replace him in the lineup. And I also want to talk about Morrissey because in my opinion, Morrissey has really not had a very good season this year. He started off very, very slow and he just had a lot of problems, and I just didn't like a lot of his game this year. I've talked about it heavily, but he played a really good game this year. He had 2 really good defensive breakups in the first period, and then he gets rewarded with that goal to make it 2-2 in the second period, and he just really played a good game of hockey. It was a really good goal to get his first of the season, and it's just happy to see him succeeding. Really happy to see him. Really good to see a guy wearing that letter succeeding who's really started this year in his bad slump, in my opinion, and has started to get a little bit better in the last couple of weeks. So good to see. Really happy for Morrissey in the guards there. I also want to get into, in my opinion, how the refereeing at times in this game, especially in the first and second, was extremely inconsistent. I have this huge pet peeve within the NHL and their refereeing and how they handle things, especially when it comes to soft calls being called or missed calls and all this stuff about letting one go and making sure that teams are even. I hate that shit. If you're going to call everything, you got to call everything the whole game. If that's the way it starts for you guys and you just start calling shit, you're calling the easy trips, the easy stick infractions, you got to let that go the whole game. Unless it's getting down to like the last, 5 minutes of a tie or for third period of a tie at a very tight game. You know what I mean? You can't just let that be some inconsistent thing, because there was obviously that tripping in the first period that was missed that almost was lead to a scoring opportunity by William Nylander, and it was just a crazy opportunity there, and I just couldn't believe that the refs let a 2-on-1 trip, obvious trips caused by a trip, let that happen. I just was very upset with that. I just wish that there was more of an inconsistent thing. I don't have a problem that they were giving, I see why they did that. I hate the Leafs for thinking they're lucky, because the refs gave it to him for a reason. I hate that the refereeing was doing that tonight. I just didn't think it's very fair, especially since that almost led to a scoring opportunity, and the other trip, it didn't really in the sense. So I just wish that there was more of a consistency throughout this game with the infractions being called. So other than that, I did think the refereeing wasn't too bad, but I wanted to make that point about the penalties not being called and the missed calls. I just thought that minus how everything else went, those stick infractions, those early stick infractions, it should have been called a much more fair game in my opinion. And obviously I also want to get back into some other positives coming off of that, and that's with Ehlers with that Gretzky-like goal to Connor to make it 3-2. That was a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful goal. Though I saw some footage of that goal on Twitter from a different angle, from almost like ice level on the ice, and it was insane, that goal. He put it between the goaltender and his stick through like that little groove that he found there. It was a very, very insane pass. Love to see it. Great goal from Ehlers. Ehlers had a really good game tonight. He was just flying. He was just looking like the best Jet, which in my opinion, he's really starting to show how complete of a forward he is and why he is, in my opinion, one of the most complete forwards on the team. He's just really, really good. I'm really, really happy to have him in a Winnipeg Jets uniform for the time being, because he is just such a fun player to watch. Also, I want to talk about how, in my opinion, Mason Appleton is making a huge effort to get to the top line and how his play is. I've talked about this in the past recently. I think Andrew Copp is making a good case to Seattle and other teams about why he could have a lot of untapped potential. He just looks really good in that top 6 at times, and he just looks like he could find a really good fit on a team given a really good role, and I think that he's going to be a player that Seattle takes a look at if he becomes available in expansion. And I think that although it would suck to lose Copp, I think Mason Appleton is a better version of what the Jets thought Andrew Copp could be for them. I think Mason Appleton has all the pieces to be a top 6 contributor in the NHL. He drives so hard to the net. He finishes the puck so well. He's got such good speed. He's got really good vision. He moves with the puck well. He knows how to set up plays from different angles and odd angles. He's just got everything that a forward needs, a really dynamic modern NHL forward. And not only that, he kills penalties. He's good defensively. He is a really complete forward, and he's only getting better, in my opinion, offensively, and he's just showing, in my opinion, why he could be a real late round gem for the Jets moving forward. He could be one of the biggest steals out of that draft, in my opinion, if he gets in that top 6. I really think it could be possible to see Mason Appleton being a really, really good contributor, similar to what Matthew Pro had been in his career, like a really solid top 6 guy that can play anywhere really in the lineup, that could be really, really good offensively at times. I think Appleton really has that, and I think his game is really developing nicely. He had that amazing goal, obviously, that put us up in the third period, just a fantastic fantastic play, a fantastic finish on another goal he did, driving to the net. Really, really good to see him play that. Also want to give a huge shout out to Neal Pionk again for being an absolute stud. This guy is just showing why the Jets have won that Trouba trade so many times now, especially considering you get Ville Heinola for free, basically, almost, in a sense. A 1-for-1, in my opinion, the Jets win this trade, and then you get Ville Heinola. Can't beat that. He just looked so good with the Jets. 3 points again tonight, having a fantastic game for himself, being everywhere on the ice, being one of the most underrated defenders in the National Hockey League. Honestly, he's just really working on his two-way game, and really just has a complete overall sense to his game. And you just, honestly, you love to see games like this, because the Jets just played really good throughout a lot of the time. And I know I've talked about a lot of the good sense in the play and how there was a lot of good things to talk about, but in my opinion, nonetheless, Helly carried the Jets to a win, and not in particular the offense this time, because the offense showed up and played good, but the defense wasn't that amazing tonight. There was good individual performances, but as a core, they weren't that good. There was problems without them. Obviously, also they were playing shorthanded because Beaulieu went out in the first period, so I understand that, but at the end of the night, Helly just really carried it, and it's another reason why I want to see the Jets get a defender, not because I think the Jets are an insanely horrid team, even though I think they have some horrible defensemen on their current structure right now of their core, other than some of the prospects that should be in, but I think that they just miss, like I said, missing that piece to really solidify them, and I think the top four needs some help. I just hope that they could go make a smart addition to add that. I'll be making lots of videos talking about who I think they could get in the near future, but let me know about your opinions on this game. What did you guys think about this game as a whole? Let me know all your thoughts down in the comment section below. As always, I really do appreciate all the support you guys have been giving on the channel recently. It means a lot. Thank you so much for that. Thank you guys. If you guys haven't already followed me on Twitter, go ahead and do that now if you haven't already. Link in the description if you really want to recommend seeing my thoughts on the game time things, little things that happened before the leading up to the game, and things I don't have time to make a video on. If you want to see my opinions on more NHL related stuff, definitely go follow me on Twitter. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. Please leave a like, comment, blah, 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 all that crap. Peace, love, and positivity, everybody. I will see you guys in the next video. Go Jets, go.